Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. I was feeling a little charitable this weekend, so I picked up a copy of the New York Times. I feel bad for them because of their subscription rates and stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is the newspaper that just last week pointed out that I've become a little apocalyptic. And I'm kind of a downer to watch. Surprising coming from the New York Times. I thought they loved this show. Anyway, I picked it up and I just was looking at the headline, Japanese scramble to avert nuclear meltdown. Wow, that sounds kind of scary. Death toll rises, frantic effort to rescue survivors. No flight zone in Libya backed by Arab League. Here is one of the worst stories I think I've ever read. It's state-run homes, abuse and impunity. It is about people here in New York State that are supposedly taking care of the ill, infirm, the mentally handicapped, and they're abusing them. It is a horrific, horrific story. Oh, here's wanted officers wanted to retake Mexico, and Macy's wants you to find their magic. It's kind of a bummer, isn't it? Oh, no, it's just called reality. That's what it is. Or is it? Is it reality or is there agenda? When you're watching the news, does it have an agenda? I contend yes, but the truth doesn't have one. So today I'm going to show you the agendas in the Japanese story. I'm going to take a sunny attitude today and show you what the rest of the media is looking for, I guess, a sexy story about nuclear meltdown, and quite frankly, that's not the story. And also I'm going to show you that there are lessons to be learned from Japan. Dare I say it, we should prepare like Japan. The answer is the same as it has always been. Sanity, common sense, preparation. And hey, here's an idea. What do you say we live by those, 10 rules that were handed down from top of a mountain? No, that's crazy and apocalyptic. Hello, America. It is impossible to adequately put into words the amount of destruction and suffering that is going on now in Japan. Last week's quake was the 5th biggest since they started measuring and the largest ever in Japan. It was almost a 9 on the Richter scale. What does that mean? Scientists are now saying that that is an earthquake that happens once every 1,000 years. The U.S. Geological Survey says the quake shifted parts of Japan's coastline. You ready for this? Japan has moved 13 feet closer to the United States. The entire Earth moved 10 inches because of this and the tsunami. The Earth's axis was tilted slightly, and it even shortened the length of the day by a couple of millionths of a second. Parts of Japan, their elevation has dropped. Do you remember the devastation in Haiti? Do you remember what that looked like and how bad that was? That was horrible. But this quake in Japan packed 1,000 times the punch as what hit Haiti. You've probably seen the footage over and over again. I sat at my computer with my wife the other night just looking at this stuff thinking, oh my gosh, the moment that the earthquake struck. But show the video of the buildings on the outside. This is amazing. Watch the taller buildings. Look at them sway. You'll notice that they didn't fall. Whether this would even happen in California now, I don't know. This is a testament to the Japanese ingenuity and, quite honestly, their preparation. They knew, and they have prepared for years. Then they were hit by something that you can't prepare for, a tsunami. Look at this. Japan has massive seawalls to it, in some places as high as 40 feet, but they were a pebble in the path of a monster. The tsunami, look at that. Nothing. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? This was caused by the seafloor, an area of 200 miles long, 50 miles wide. It lifted up. That's what caused it. It was so powerful that it traveled across the Pacific Ocean. You ready for this? Watch this. There's the tsunami hitting Japan. A few hours later, do you have the Golden Gate Bridge? okay, well, there's video, I thought we had it, the Golden Gate Bridge, and you'll see this wall of water coming down, rippling down to the Golden Gate Bridge. It took the water less time to travel from Japan to the Golden Gate Bridge than it would you to travel in an airplane. The size and magnitude is mind-boggling. Thousands today are dead in Japan and missing. But out of all of the things that could go wrong, and they did, out of all of the things that would affect the lives of the average Japanese person and affect your life, the meltdown of this power plant, I'm trying to figure out how it's even in the top 3. I'm looking at this story, and I mean, at best I see a lazy media. It's, you know, it's just like, hey, nuclear power, bad, play film of explosion. That's what it is. It's despicable, sexy television in the news business. And here are some of the headlines. Japan battles nuclear meltdown. If you do a search on nuclear meltdown, you will see now 10,000 stories and blogs on how Japan might experience a meltdown. But do you even know what this means? I mean, the headlines say, Japan nuclear meltdown fears bring calls for rethink of UK energy policy. Wow, I read that one and the wheels started to churn. And then there was this one, US experts fear Chernobyl-like crisis for Japan. Well, what does that even mean? I'll tell you in a minute. Obviously, I don't want to minimize a nuclear power plant melting down. That's really bad. And it's bad for several other reasons. In Japan, nuclear plants supply 30% of the energy there. Here in America, it's 20%. But more importantly, you know, the whole idea of it melting down is kind of spooky. It'll never turn into a bomb, but I really don't think we need to all get cancer and die. Is Japan going to be Chernobyl-like? Or is it 3 Mile Island? And again, what does that one mean? It's funny that the New York Times says that I'm too apocalyptic and the media pounces on that. They say that I'm kind of a bummer to watch. Well, did anybody see the Today Show? The news is saying, is America next? They actually highlighted the cities in California and the nuclear power plants. Is America next? You don't tell me they're saying you should prepare, because no, it just said you could be next. But definitely don't prepare, because that's crazy talk. Here they are not giving perspective or context. It's just something that sticks out, because there was something that I read on Saturday morning that stuck out, and I want to share that with y'all. You'll understand why this story is running, besides the lazy journalism. Well, I was reading all of these stories, and I found a story, and it's circulating on the blogs now. There's a story from a guy who works at MIT, and he explains how a nuclear power plant works. Now, I want you to know he's not a nuclear scientist. What is he, Tiffany? What kind of scientist is he? He's a mechanical engineer. The reason why he wrote this blog that is everywhere is because he has family and friends over there, and they were all freaking out. And so he did his research, and he said, look, here's how it works. I want to explain this to you real quick. There are 3 lines of defense in this, and I'm going to explain this a little easier here in just a second. I'm going to, of course, use M&Ms, and that will, of course. Okay. Here's the first line of defense. It's this outer shell, and this is what you saw explode, and I'll explain it in a second. That's what you saw explode. Then these are the nuclear rods, and this is actually a line of defense because they're not rods, they're actually, well, I'll show you with the M&Ms in a minute. And then this is what makes the steam. Here's water, and this is what makes the steam. The rods and the water, it boils the water. And then it's in this containment facility like this, and this is the last line of defense. It's all cement. Now, let me show you how this works. To show you how much more has to go wrong. First of all, this power plant shouldn't be standing today at all. It wasn't equipped It wasn't built to withstand a 9 on the Richter scale. This is 7 times more powerful than what this plant was designed to handle. But it's still standing. It's a miracle that it is. So, here's what you have. First of all, you have the nuclear fuel. They're pellets. And they put them all together, and they put them in these rods, just like this. It's a colossal waste of M&Ms, but I get most of my energy from them too. Then they're put into, this is the core. They're like this, they're put together. And they're put in here, and this is where they kind of do their magic and they boil the water. So now this is the core. The core is in this facility, containment facility. I'm going to have to take these M&Ms out. Darn it. The 5-minute rule. Anybody eats those M&Ms besides me, I break your hands. So they're put in here. Water is put on. And then this is sealed. This is where you get the steam. It's like a pressure cooker. And this is why I'm not a nuclear scientist, because there's no way I can close that. Then they cover this all with concrete. And then they build the outer shell. Now, what has happened? Well, first, because it was boiling, and a pressure cooker has the steam coming out, which it's supposed to, they needed to relieve some of the pressure so the whole thing didn't explode. They relieved the pressure in here. When you saw this footage, show the video up here. When you saw this footage of this explosion right there, has anybody explained to you really what that is? That is the steam coming in here mixing with hydrogen, and I can't explain it. I mean, I'm the guy with the M&Ms on the show. But the steam coming out, that is this happening. This outer shell blowing. This isn't a sealed containment. This is like the last line of defense. This is what you have to worry about. And this, remember, is impossibly sealed. This has the containment of the rods, which is the first thing to melt down. Then it has this. Then it's also contained in concrete. Let me show you. The rods will eventually break down when the water level, this is what's happening here, the water level should be up here. When they say that the rods are partially exposed, it's because the water is boiling out and the steam is coming out. The steam is supposed to be recollected in this facility, brought back out, cooled, and then pumped back in. But because there's no electricity, it couldn't pump it back in. So the water level keeps going back down, and the steam is just going out into the atmosphere. As these rods are being exposed, it gets worse because then the steam is exposed to this. Got it? The rods will break down, the water will go away, and so they'll be left with this iron or steel and concrete bowl. The theory is that concrete and steel bowl can stand up to like 5,000 degrees Celsius. This burns at 3,000 degrees. So far, everything has worked beyond what it was supposed to do. It's so stable at this point. Remember, 7 times more powerful of an earthquake than it was supposed to even stand. You still have this. If everything works the way it should, this can sit there forever and burn forever, and it won't be a problem.